Joshua Saul. I'm an acupuncturist here in Atlanta. I'm also the AAAOM Student Organization President. And I posted a question on Facebook recently asking about recommendations for reaching out to other allied healthcare practitioners like medical doctors. And one of the other members of the board, Dr. Andy Rosenfarb, responded and has lots of experience doing this and agreed to do a little interview with us here today. So Andy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, how you doing? Andy Rosenfarb here. I wanted to share some information with you guys. I'm also a board of director and on the practice management committee with the AAAOM. There's so many valuable things that we want to share with you guys around this topic. So we're so glad Josh actually asked this question.
All right. So the question in essence is, coming from the idea that I'm a relatively new practitioner. I've been in practice about 2.5 years now. And one of the things that I'm having a lot of challenges is really getting patients in the door. I feel ready, to see a lot of patients. And, I've heard that one of the best ways to get more patients is to reach out to medical doctors that, they often have cases that they don't know how to deal with or can't deal with necessarily effectively, like pain, or they don't want to just give drugs all the time. So I wanted to reach out to medical doctors, but I had no idea really where to even start with this. So Andy, if I'm a new practitioner and I'm really trying to, get my name out there in the community and I guess find these medical doctors, what are your recommendations for reaching these people?
Awesome question. And I started, and so I'm practicing about 18 years now, 15 years in the same area. June 1st will be my 15-year anniversary at my clinic. I've done a lot of this. I've tried, and I've probably failed a lot more than I've succeeded, especially at this. I was really interested in getting physicians and other healthcare practitioners to refer. So I made a lot of mistakes. I went knocking on doors. I used to hand out cards. I used to send out lunches. I used to, give talks to the local medical associations, and made mistakes like, having the entire talk in Chinese medicine jargon. So I've made a lot of mistakes, and I figured out some things that work and some things that don't work. One of the things that I found work very well is targeting physicians and other allied healthcare practitioners in our community through a specific way of doing that. You can go out and go knocking on doors, but it may not necessarily be the best use of your time. We really want to try to isolate and target healthcare practitioners, in this case physicians, who are open to having referral relationships with us.
Okay. And so when you're talking about targeting physicians, what are some of the best ways to do that? I mean, clearly some physicians are potentially open to acupuncture, and many, think we're maybe kind of not really part of the medical scene, or that we could even treat their patients. They don't know what we treat. Is the best way to do this to, ask your patients or call, or what's your recommendation on how to target these people?
Well, there are a lot of ways. The two main ways I found is the first way is to help get your patients to refer to doctors, to tell your doctors about you, which patients will do. In another call, we're going to talk about how to talk to your patients. I don't want to get into that now, but it's how to talk to your patients and get them to sell you to their doctor, which is one great technique. The other strategy that I want to talk about is how to really, again, identify and target the doctors in your town or in your area. The best way I found to do that is to Google, physicians in Westfield, New Jersey, or you're in the Atlanta area, so Atlanta or whatever sub-city you're in, type in that area, and you're going to get a list of physicians in that area, general practitioners, internists, whatever you want, OBGYN if you're a specialist. And get that list and print it out. Then either you or get somebody to make the calls for you. And what you want to do is actually call them up. And you want to have an introductory call. Try to get the doctor on the line if you can, or get him to call you back. or his assistant and say, look, my name's Joshua Saul. I moved to the area. I practice Chinese medicine. I'm looking for physicians that I could create referral relationships with. And is that something that your physician or you would be in, or your office would be interested? And if so, I'd like to come in for a few minutes just to meet you and have a quick chat. They're either going to say yes or no. You're, oh yeah, sure. And even if it's 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. But you get that. Okay, now I have a list of 50 people. Now I have 8 that may be open.
Okay. So, and so then we have the meeting, and it's all set up. I guess one of my things is making sure that, when I show up, that I'm going to be able to relate to them in a way that's going to make them want to refer to me. And I think the few medical doctors that I've met with, what ends up happening is I feel like I'm trying to tell them, I'm trying to explain Chinese medicine to them and say, this is what I do, and they're not quite getting it. And so that's kind of a challenge. And then the other thing too is I've not been very clear about how I can help them as well. So, do you have any recommendations about that part of the conversation?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the second part to your question. It's not what they can do for us. It's what we can do for them, right? We're all well-versed to some extent in Taoism and the laws of nature, and most of us are familiar with the concept that you can't reap a harvest that you don't plant, right? Nature has an order. You have to plant the seeds, you have to wait, the sunlight, and it's time before we create a tree and we bear fruits. We all know that. So if you try to pick the fruits before you plant the trees, it's not going to happen. So we need to understand this order. So the first thing we want to do is give. What can we do to help you? So we go in there to their office and we talk about them. We don't ask for referrals. We don't tell them or dazzle them about who we trained with and how long we've been practicing and we've been to trauma. We ask them about them. Hi, my name's Andy Rosenfarb. The reason I'm here is because I want to send you referrals and I want to meet with you. I want to learn about you and your practice so that I know the person that I'm going to be referring patients to. Is that okay with you? Then you ask them, where'd you go to school? What type of practice? What are your favorite kind of patients? You got kids, you have a wife, and then after you find out a little bit about their practice, everybody loves talking about themselves. They thought you were going to come in and start talking about you. You're asking about them. So that's really the idea behind that.
Okay. So in other words, be interested, not interesting.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Good. In the event that they are already open to acupuncture or they've worked with acupuncturists in the past, are there any things that we should have ready just in case they're like, yeah, this is already something I'm into and you seem like a nice guy. Is it important to bring business cards, or do they not even make a difference? Is it better to bring like a prescription pad or something about, our practice, or does none of that stuff matter?
Not on the first meeting. Again, you want them to scratch their head. If you don't walk in with a packet to give to them and you're genuinely asking them about them, whether you have a huge practice or 2 patients, you're setting the stage that you're there to get information from them, which leads them to, it's very compelling. These guys are like, whoa, this guy's coming in to interview me, an acupuncturist. He or she must be the real deal. They're interviewing me to find more about me and what I do so that they can send my patients to me. He didn't leave cards. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't give me a snow job about what he does. That's interesting. That's different than anybody else they've ever met before.
Got it. Okay, that's great. I think that's a great start. I'm really excited now to actually start calling these folks and see what to do. I really appreciate your input. I think there's a lot of other questions as this develops, and hopefully we'll be able to get together again and address some of the other aspects of reaching out to medical doctors.
Yeah, and you mentioned it just in wrapping up that whole concept is once you create that relationship, what we want to do is then start discussing in other segments, what do you do? How do you nurture this relationship? And should you invite them to lunch, or should you bring lunch in, or how do you set that up? And then how do you co-create an event, or how do you get yourself in with their colleagues, or what once you have your foot in the door, what are the different areas you can go? And we always want to keep in the back of our heads, it's how can I help you? Because the universe works in reciprocity. They owe you. Even if they think you're there helping them, that's a very different place than most other acupuncturists are going to come. Any other health practitioner. So, if we can keep that in mind, what's in it for them, not what's for me. We'll get ours. We'll get the fruit, but we have to plant the seeds first.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Andy. I really appreciate your input and contributing to the community. I'm sure this is answering a lot of questions for a lot of people that had the same questions I did. And we'll keep them coming.
Thanks, Josh.
All right. See you soon.